everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. My name is Hemang Naik. I'm Global Head for Solutions and Offering with Tech Mahindra for AI Competency. I have some esteemed guests with me today. I have Amol Nagar, who is MD, Managing Director for Aviation India. I have Hasit Trivedi, he is a CTO and Global Head for AI with Tech Mahindra. And the topic of discussion, it's a very fascinating, very interesting topic today. It's scaling of AI with digital factory or factory of future. My first question to you, Amol, how do you see factory of the future with GE or aviation industry?
Thanks, Hemang. First of all, thanks a lot for giving this opportunity to come and talk to both of you today. And welcome to Pune Multi-Modal factory, which is definitely a factory of future and one of the showcase site for GE. As you know, GE Aviation is growing because there's a growth in the market. And on the same time, it is our responsibility to live our purpose, which is we invent the future of flight, we lift people up and bring them home safely. And as you know that world rely on our technology. If I just talk about the aviation business, we have more than 36,000 aircraft across the globe where at any given point of time, more than 3,000 plus people are relying on our technology. Every other second, an aircraft with G technology taking off somewhere in the globe. So there is a huge responsibility on us in terms of ensuring that we keep inventing, keep using the new technology, and keeping our customer as well as our people safe. And if I just look at from that point of view, definitely technology plays a very important role when I talk about the manufacturing, because everywhere we struggled, and if I just look at like last 25 years, always there was a challenge to find out what is the single source of truth. We spend time and time again to find out what is the right information, and if that information is available at the right time or to the right people. There were times where people will spend like maybe one day, 1 week, 1 month, or maybe a couple of months to find out the truth. Whereas with the technology, what we are relying on, and the kind of digital tool which are based on the IoT are there, which are helping us to get that information where it should be, and then how can we use that information to find out what is going on in our manufacturing operations, supply chain, and then how can we utilize that to make the smart decision at a faster pace. So that is the way we are seeing the whole shift which is happening. And there are multiple aspects to it. One is the technology, another is the people, and another is the overall infrastructure and the whole chain management, how you adopt to this technology.
Interesting, very fascinating. Hasid, what's your view on this point?
I think before this session, I just had a visit of this factory, and certainly it's one of the best factory I have seen. It's certainly, as Amol said, it is a showcase for G and showcase for our country as well. Right? So it's heading towards future factory. It's a lot of elements of future factory already inbuilt in. Certainly, future of factory has to be safer, sustainable, intelligent, connected, and agile in nature. With last piece, agile in nature, I think multi-modal factory which they have created is a kind of agile, because it's a multi-product, multi-kind of manufacturing capabilities have been built in this plant. And I think many more such multi-modal factory will come globally, which are easy to change the product mix, correct? So the factory which can change the product mix pretty easily without changing too much in assembly lines. So that is one thing which will be more of the design perspective and robotics perspective, which will be coming into picture. And intelligent and connected, because as Amol said, the data, single source of truth, real-time data, decision making real-time is critical, and thus the connectivity to the machines of physical machines and digital machines is very important. And with the 5G adoptions which will happen in future, I think connectivity will no more be the issue. Connectivity already there, but with 5G the sustainability and the reliability will increase.
Yeah.
So more connected machines with the digital machines will be there, and thus the real-time data will be streaming will be possible, and thus with the AI, the decision making will also be faster. And a lot of problems are related to real-time decision making. Right? So we talk about the batch failures in manufacturing industry. How do we convert that batch failure into one product failure? Right? And that batch failure happens because the extreme automation which happens, and you don't have in-between decision-making process. But if the batch processing can come with the intelligence, then you don't have to have the batch failure in general.
Yeah.
Right? So you can have and that is one thing which every factory would aspire, because the batch failure is a big problem, and recall is a big problem. It's a huge cost. Safer, I think the safety is very important. Every incident which happens on factory has a human cost involved, so human life is extremely precious, and there is no statistics can be considered as a low when a human life is concerned, and hence how we can completely avoid, and that's where the AI and computer vision kind of technology, where if you can see the anomalies or process non-adherence by the humans, which typically happens because of the nothing will happen to me kind of attitude. If the technology can keep reminding the various surveillance team within the factory, which can see the real-time process breakage of the safety rules non-compliance, I think it will reduce or minimize the incidents which happens on this thing. So I think future factory will, the data source today in future factory is sensor driven. In future it will be camera driven as well.
Yeah.
So camera and sensor both will be the source of feed for you, and with real time data feeding and the AI based intelligence, I think that's how it will define. And then more and more sustainability elements will be inbuilt into that thing. So that's how I believe the factory future. And I think this plant, what I see, is certainly one of the best thing I've seen, as I said earlier.
No, I think I completely agree. I even visited with Hasit to see the plant. It is very interesting work we are doing here. I felt really proud, after seeing the plant. I felt grounded after seeing the plant, and it was really great work which you are doing here, Amol. And I completely agree with you. The future of factory has to be safe. That's the most important aspect. It has to be efficient. It has to be connected. And with 5G coming in India, I think we are going to see probably in near future. Amol, I have a couple of more questions, very specific for GE right now. What is GE globally doing using AI? How are you using AI globally?
I would say a lot of places starting from, I would say, connecting to our customer and connecting to our supplier. Those are I would say, the entire wing-to-wing connectivity, what we are looking at a global level. Some of the areas which really very important from our point of view, as well as the performance and sustainability, what Hasit spoke about, is where we are using some of the latest technologies and latest solutions like digital twin, where what happens to our equipment when those are in the field, we are able to analyze, we are able to capture, analyze the data sitting in the lab. And a lot of our engineers are working on those and working on developing some of the predictable tools which are based on the condition-based monitoring and trying to find out what can go wrong with the product and how fast we can analyze, how fast we can provide that information to our customer as well as our services team, as well as our supply chain for them to be ready with the part, because you can imagine in the aviation industry, the turnaround time is the essence. And if you can predict all those ahead of time and you can take the corrective action proactively, I think customer definitely would like it, and you will be able to drive the efficiencies and productivity across. And that is where we are looking at the global level. If I just take from the global level to, I would say, the supply chain level, we are picking up a lot of such tools to understand how the supply chain is behaving based on the past data, as well as based on what is happening in our supply chain today. And that is where we pick up the data and use it for making the smart decisions, which are based on some history and based on some live event which are happening in your supply chain. So that is where a lot of work is being done across the GLab.
Okay, that's great. Now coming back to your plant, which is here based out in Pune, India, how are you leveraging AI, or what's the future plan for AI?
I would say right now, this is like I call our lean and digital journey. And again, when I talk about the lean, the way I think about it is that lean and digital, and you can call it IoT or AI or ML, whatever the small, bigger or small pieces of it. But I see that once you use the digital tools, you find out a lot of data. And then we use that data to optimize our process, and that is where the lean plays a very important role. And if I just look at the base of this, everything is the culture piece, because unless you set the right culture, you are not able to have a great, I would say, like a change management of this digital tool as well as the lean transformation. Now, if I just talk about the digital journey, we started like any other organization when we started with more and more manual data capturing, and people are using Excel and other things to make the decisions. But soon we went on to definitely, since the Oracle was there from us from the day one, and then we started using the MES. And you have seen on the shop floor that our shop is entirely connected. where people are able to get their work instruction, the drawing and the data available to them at the point of use, including the help call, where if they have any issues, they can raise the help call from their workstation, and on a real-time basis, all this information is going to the manufacturing engineer, and there is a like your help call in IT where I keep hearing P3 to P1 level. The same thing we follow in our case in like our MES is triggering the alert beyond a point of time, and it comes to me if there are any issue which is not being resolved as per the defined standard time. And with that, we started our journey. We are somewhere in between. I cannot say that we are fully matured, but we started using the MES to capture the data, to do a lot of analytics, to find out how our supply chain is behaving. But if I just think from a vision point of view, it would be great if we can find out the tool using some of the machine learning and AI, wherein the system is making a smart decision for us. Like as I was talking about that we are a discrete manufacturing where there are 800 to 1000 different parts we are making every day, and there are low volume. And there where if I need to make a decision on the real time, still it is human dependent. And again, you can imagine that there is a limitation in terms of the capturing the data, analyzing it, and bringing it for a decision making. Whereas AI can definitely help us to make that data on a real-time basis. And what I was talking to you guys the other time is, can we use something like a Google Map in the like in the manufacturing, where if there is a like kind of a constraint or a congestion at one of the constrained equipment or the process, how can the tool tell me that these are the alternate path, or you maybe need to stop something from fitting into the line, or you need to pull something out at a faster pace. And those alerts, if come to people, I'm sure people will be happy to find that alert rather than just they going to the line and just physically verifying and then taking a decision and like waiting for chain of command to get activated. I think those are the areas I see that definitely if we start our journey, and I'm sure one day it will happen, because that is the way a lot of companies are working, and a lot of companies like you who are investing time and resource to develop those solutions for us.
Absolutely, and we call it human in the loop. That how do we make human more efficient and more knowledgeable? So this is one of the great example. I think will definitely help. Now, see, with technology coming in, right, there are a lot of challenges which comes in, right? So what do you think? What are the kind of challenges which you see with AI and digital coming into picture?
So first thing is, and like person like me who is completely non-technical from the IT point of view, and I don't understand a lot of it, I would say the picking up the right technology and the partner. That what you really want, because there are all these things are available in the market. And first you need to decide that what you want. And then once you know what you want, definitely you need to work with a great company who can provide you that solution. But you need to have a great team of functional experts, and there should be a good collaboration between the functional experts as well as the people who are like designing and like bringing in the whole IT system around it. I think that is first piece I see that where we can avoid the failures. And then the second piece, which is very, very important, is like the adaptability of all these tools by the people on the floor. So first you need to train and educate and raise your level of your workforce who should be ready to use and adopt this digital tool. And on the other side, you need to like keep improvising on it. People should be using it. Like the example I gave in our world is like, maybe if I pick up your phone, you might have 100 different apps on your cell phone. But if I ask you how many of you are using regularly, maybe 5 or 10. And the same thing happens in, like again, we learned this hard way, where we thought that okay, we'll be using so many different tools to solve our problem. But when we realized that over a period of time, we are just relying on 5 or 10, may not be 50 what we thought of. And I think the same thing applicable here, that you need to pick up the right set of tools, and then you need to have people who are using it and make it easy, where people need not to do like 5 different logins, or people need not to do like 5 different click on their screen before they can get the outcome. So I think that is very important, that pick up the right partner, have the right culture, and then only use the tool which are really making sense, and keep scrapping whatever is not useful. Because this is like, I call it a failing fast or a learning journey, where you keep improvising and keep moving and making progress.
Right, fail fast forward basically.
Yeah.
Hasit, now seeing it from a different side of the, from the technology company, coming from technology, what is your feel about challenges which typically comes with this?
Yeah, before I answer that question, let me comment on 2 points which Amol made. I think first of all, he's a reasonably good technical person, so I will not buy that he's not a technical person. Second is that term which is used, and the problem here encapsulated, it's very Google Map for Factory. I think I love this problem actually. I think it's as a technologist, I would like to solve this problem because people talk about Google Map for various cities, Google Map for various things, but Google Map for Factory is a new concept, new problems, and good that you coined a word which is easy to explain, because sometimes a problem becomes so difficult to explain to technologists, it doesn't get solved because of that reason, correct? But the ease with which you explain the Google Map Factory and the crowding of certain things and providing alternate routes is the simplest way a technologist can map it to the real life scenario which he or she as a consumer. So I think thanks for that particular piece. I will certainly work on that particular problem for sure. Coming to the challenges, I think with this technology like AI, I think one of the key pieces which comes into picture is accountability. While everybody will look for the decision making process, correct, and technology will provide decision, whom you make an accountable, correct? If some decision doesn't go wrong today in a human-based decision making system and society and culture, you always have a person who takes personal decisions and be held for accountability of that thing, correct? So in the Google Map scenario, if somebody says, okay, this is the right route, and if that is eventually not the right route, who will be made accountable? Correct? I think so that is the governance aspect of the technology is very important while adopting technology in a very critical area of business or critical area of safety where you are relying on technology. So it's always good to have that decision making process and accountability mapped in the stakeholders, and as till the time you are not comfortable, keep human in loop, so that while machine take a decision, but execution is done by some humans.
No,
I think don't outsource completely to machine. That is what I would suggest. Second is that I saw in factory that the repercussion of some of the decisions, like that gentleman in factory was doing inspections of the X-rays and kind of the implication of that, a single miss can be life-threatening in an end product kind of thing, correct? So it's in such a mission critical, certainly, because if you have to scale the factory and improve the throughput and productivity and thus reduce the cost of the flying, correct, which is eventually you want to do and make the experience and safer, then machine has to play a role. So what in that scenario, the inspection of defects can be done by machine, but instead of a human being a detector of the defects, it can be the reviewer of defects. Correct? So the role of human changes from the detector to the reviewer, and the large scalable piece can be done by machine. And of course, there is some individuals. That way, the lifestyle of that humans will be better. The throughput and quality will be higher, and still you have a person who is accountable and making the right decision with the right environmental situation, which at times technology will not be able to do justice. So I think these aspects has to be kept in mind while adopting this technology. While of course Amol covered the change management at ground level, people adaptability, all those things are very critical. Having right supplier, bringing right function and technology people together is equally important.
Okay. I think that's a great segue for my next question, because when you adopt a technology, especially something like AI, right, it may bring a lot of biasness or unresponsible kind of a thing, right? So what are the different repercussions which you should really watch out for that shouldn't have that when you adopt the AI?
So first thing I would say that whenever you are going for this kind of technology, in our kind of environment, first data will tell you the truth. And always you need to be open to hear and adopt and learn from the truth. Which in environment where you do not have any digitization, you will go by what people say. So first you need to have the courage to adopt to that data. And definitely when you are having that openness, you need to believe in the system what you are developing, and you need to believe the science and the logic behind it. If you really, like at times, and again say, I'll go to the same example of Google Map, that if Google Map is telling you to follow a path, and if you don't follow, and then you stuck somewhere, then you regret. So again, you need to believe in the technology once you adopt to it. That is the way I think about that. Anything is coming, if it is giving you a direction, you should follow it. Yes, at times always there's a challenge where you have to follow your gut or you have to follow the logical data. I think that trade-off always will be there, and it will be like for the leaders, I think that would be the biggest thing for them to decide that where should I go with this data, or should I go with what I feel, or I feel about the situation. But I'm sure over a period of time we also learn that no, the technology, what it is telling you is based on some logic, based on some calculation algorithm which is being run based on the past data, based on what is the current situation, and I think you need to go with that. So that is the way I take it. I don't think that I can only just go with my gut and I have a nice phone or a tool which I really don't want to use. So my advice on this is that let's follow this, because there is certain logic, certain algorithm which is going behind it and which is giving you the direction. But always there will be some amount of a human element, maybe 10%, 20%, or maybe 40%, depending on the individual industry, individual organization. But I would say that personally, I would go with what technology is telling me to do, because I'm sure I invested because of that, and there is something which is logically is being done behind it, which is maybe at times beyond the human, I would say, science of or human psychology of making the decision. So that's the way I look at it.
Absolutely. Hasit, what's your
No, I think great to hear Amol's thought. Person with the non-technology or IT background is talking with such a strong conviction of the technology. I think that is what the leaders needed in industry, and I think I would love to work with such individuals as a technologist, and because typically the conviction around the technology is sometimes less in some of the organizations of the individuals, and thus the adoption of technology becomes slower. But yes, I think conviction on the technology, because if you see about the AI, it is not doing learning, and it's not been trained by somebody else. It has been trained by your own functional people.
Yep.
Correct. So it's like encapsulating the know-how of human has been put into that thing, and thus to ensure the consistent decision-making process, there is a science and your own know-how exists.
Yeah.
So there is no reason to doubt it.
Correct.
Correct. So like a human makes mistakes sometimes, machine may also make a mistake. But the fact is that you have done two things. One is that you have de-skilled decision-making process.
Yep.
You made a decision-making consistent. You made decision-making explainable. Correct. I think that is the key things, and that will drive the better output, throughput, and better action at the ground.
Yeah.
I think that was fantastic session today. Thank you, Hasit, and thank you, Amol. I think that we had some fantastic views today, and lot of things came out today. But Factory of the Future is going to be more safer, more efficient, more knowledgeable for the humans, and with human in the loop, it will be much better for us in the future. Thank you for your time again.
Thank you
so
very
much.
much.
Thanks, Amol.
Thanks everyone. Bye bye.